and welcome to a new episode of the Ziaul Studio Buzz podcast. Today, back to knitting and to yarn, and my name is Doug, and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in the beautiful desert of New Mexico. It's a lovely day, lots of sunshine, and actually just like yesterday, where I was lucky enough to be able to meet some friends outside, nicely distant, but it was so good to gather and to meet friends and to be in the sunshine and to knit together and catch up a little bit. Very special. And also, as you may know, I have just returned from a little trip. I went to California with my husband. We brought our daughter back to college, and then we added a few days, extra days of sightseeing in Phoenix, and which was really fun. I mean, it's always a little weird these days when you travel, but we had a good time and it was really good to get out. And now we're back home, and I've been dyeing, and so at the end I'm going to show you a little bit of the yarns that I've just added to the shop. But also, as you can imagine, you knit a lot when you drive, and I was lucky because my husband drove the whole time. Which is for us, it's about a 2-day trip going to California, to San Diego. You I mean, unless you want to make it like a 12-hour thing, but which we're not doing. Yeah. So there's been a lot of knitting here, yes, but it's kind of funny because you get to that point, you start a lot of things, and then you feel like, gosh, I gotta finish things, or I have so many projects that nothing gets finished. And so you get to the point where you try to focus on certain projects to get them done, maybe. But actually, in my case, what happened was that I had to decide on the projects to bring on the trip. And but also then the reality was that I focused mainly on two things where I felt like, wow, the end is in sight and I'm going to get them done soon. And so that's kind of fun. And do you see cat ears? My cat, our black cat Munchkin, is sitting right here I have my ironing board here, which is wonderful to spread out with all of my knitting here. And I want to start with this sweater that I'm working on, and Munchkin she sees oh yes. Look at her, she's so cute. She's an old lady, but still she has her moments. So the sweater, it was so fun. I knew I had to bring the sweater on this trip because you have those cacti in Phoenix, and I knew we were going to be there, and I thought, I'm going to have some fun and playing with the knitting on the sweater while we're looking at the cacti, the saguaros. And so that's what I did, and I couldn't film yesterday because I was seeing my friends, as I told you. But when I recorded 2 days ago, I had not touched the sweater since the trip. But in the evening, I focused on making some progress to be able to take it to the outdoors gathering, and that's what I did. And so I worked on both my shawl and my sweater. So they were kind of easy projects while you talk. And when I came home yesterday, this cat is such a goofball. I kept going on my sweater, and lo and behold, I finished a sleeve yesterday. I am not someone who hates to work on sleeves. I have my DPNs, and so I did not mind at all. I just kept going, and I am excited because what I thought yesterday was I really have to get going to get this sweater done before it really gets warm. And we're in spring, and I'm not going to have a chance to wear it. Hold on, here comes the other cat. So, but you're going to say, oh, what sweater? What is this even? How are you making this? The pattern is called Rattlesnake Sweater, and it is by Jamie Hoffman. I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing, but it is... I'm using 4.5 millimeter needles, and it's for I think she says she's using a DK weight yarn, which I am also kind of. DK and sport is kind of like a mumbo jumbo of yarns. But I think originally you go down a needle size, but that's what happens usually. In my case, I have to go up one size because I'm a very tight knitter, so I get gauge. The yarns I'm using is Azia Wools, which was a test run up here. That's the pink. So I've dyed some up, but it never made it to the shop. The yellow is let me see. And that was just Munchkin leaving this show. The yellow is a super soft, fuzzy, wonderfully rich, richly dyed yarn that I got from the Taos Wool Festival 2 or 3 years ago, and it's an alpaca silk blend. At the same festival, I got that rusty hand dyed DK or sport, whatever it is, from a local to me dyer, and the name is Zombie Yarns. I'm just not sure if she has an online shop or where she even sells. I'm not quite sure. So, yeah, but it's beautiful yarn, Zombie Yarns. And the green was Ancient Stash. Where is it? Where I'm using a 100-gram skein of a light fingering, which actually I think is the same base as my sugar and loaf yarn. And I am holding it double, of course. And it's a green and yellow mix. And I thought this is just really perfect because I wanted to bring in a green. It took me quite some time to figure out all my colors, but then in the end it was I thought the cacti have to be in green. And then for the body, I initially had planned on a hand-dyed blue, which was too light of a yarn. I mean, not in the color, but the weight of the yarn. And so all of a sudden I thought I'm going to check my hand spun, and that's what I did. And I found a good amount where I thought that's what I'm going to do. And I think it's ever so slightly heavier than the yarns in the yoke, but it's going to be okay. I'm pretty sure when I block it. And when I put it on, it looks really, really great. And the sleeve, I didn't work on the sleeves when we were traveling because I thought I had, by the time I had the body done, I had one ball of yarn left, and I thought I better weigh it when I'm at home and split it exactly, so in case it's really not enough for the sleeve, I can, work from there and whatever I was going to do. And that's what I did, and that was indeed exactly half of that ball of yarn, and this is how much I had left before I had the perfect length for the sleeve and did the bottom the way I had the ribbing for the on the bottom of the sweater. That's how I did, I think, 2 rows less. And I'm sorry, I don't have the pattern here. I use the gosh, what's it called? Knit Companion. I use Knit Companion for the sweater, and I can't tell you right now. I don't think I did what she suggests because I wanted to bring back the yellow and the rust. So what I did was I knitted 1 round in the green, and then 1 round where I alternated yellow and rust, and then 1 round of green in knit stitch, and then the ribbing. Yeah, and of the ribbing I did 9 rounds on the bottom of the sweater and 7 rounds on the sleeve, and then I bound off in knit stitch. And what I usually do to get it loose enough is that I use the needle size that I'm using for the body for the main body. So so I knit the ribbing in 4 millimeters. Sorry, man, sometimes I need to organize my thoughts, and then the words don't want to come out, or they only want to come out slowly. Sorry about that. I hope I'm not trying your patience. You're going to be like, get it out. Tell us. So, and then I use the body is 4.5 millimeters. For the ribbing, I do 4 millimeters. And then I cast off with a 4.5 millimeter needle in knit stitch only. That's what I did here for the sweater. Yeah, and now I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm going to get it done soon. There is still a pattern when you start the sleeve, so I didn't want to do that last night. I was getting tired, but I think I'm going to get on with that today. And on Friday, I think I'm going to go for a long walk with a friend, and maybe I'll be able to wear the sweater. That would be wonderful. Yes. This is my rattlesnake sweater, and hopefully I'm going to put in a little video for you. I may do that at the end. I filmed a little bit of footage while we were traveling, thinking of the podcast, and so I think I'm going to put all those at the end to give you a bit of an impression of the beautiful desert of Arizona and some botanical gardens that we visited that were just fantastic. And then my other project, as you may guess, is my wonderful Bubbles of Joy, which is exactly that. This project brought me so crazy much joy with all of these wonderful colors that are going in. Now I gotta sort myself, which is the right side. And you're gonna say, yes, Doug, that's your colors, which they are. Beautiful turquoisey with the colors with green and especially that beautiful rich orange. And what I love so much, and I'm sure I told you that before, is the combination of a slip stitch in the same project with this gorgeous lace pattern. And I can't wait to block this. I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles, which is my standard for fingering yarn shawls most of the time. And the yarns, I had so much fun picking my colors, because what ended up happening is that I originally, and now I don't know, I'm missing one color. I had purchased two of the, it's called Yakima, I called it by the wrong name. It's a Plymouth yarn with a yak content, which is makes it a very soft yarn, and it's a singles. And I got an kind of like a more muted orange than what I ended up using now, and this beautiful teal. And when I realized that I should have read the pattern before buying yarn for this, I knew I had to figure things out a little bit differently. And that's what happened at home, because as you know, I bought the two colors for the shawl, but because I could not read, it turned out that I figured out only later that I need two skeins of that main color, which would have been, in my case, the teal, and I didn't have that. The other colors that go in the slip stitch section, that's where the designer, and I haven't even told you, her name is Christina Willimate, and this is how the pattern looks. This one I have printed. So she uses a set of minis. I don't even know if those minis have 20 or 30 grams. I'm not quite sure. But I thought, gosh, you have so much yarn. Let's throw it all out. And I had a yarn party. I took my bin, which I called my elite yarn stash, which is all the hand-dyed yarns, and I took it all out. I spread it all out on the dining room table. I did a rough sorting of colors, and then I did, in a way, a gradient here. This is a yarn which is a pale blue with a gray, where I don't know what happened with my label because it's not here anymore. So sorry about that. But I bought it in Alaska, so it's probably hard to come upon. I don't know. I might be lying because people are online these days. But I bought it at a yarn store there. So the other one is a yarn that is readily available because it's yours truly, Roadrunner, in the colorway Ice Rain. I had to try this yarn because it's a quite new color that I came up with recently, and I really wanted to knit with it, and I thought that fits perfectly because this is kind of like a glacier ice color, and then this has similar colors in there, and it also introduces this neon green. Next, again, a travel yarn, which is a, I know I have it. It's Art Yarns Merino Cloud, and the colorway is Under the Sea. And once I wound this, okay, let me show you. This is what I have left of the very first color. Here's Ice Rain, which was next. And then this one came. And you're going to say, what? You got two colors. No. What happened was when I wound this into a ball, it turned out that one end of my skein was a lot more similar to what I had used already. And just a little bit of brown. And that's what I wanted. I wanted something that has more, that brings in something darker and brings in the brown. So what I ended up doing was I wound off the lighter end of the skein. And then as soon as I felt like, okay, there's more brown coming now, I stopped. I cut my yarn and then I started using this one. And this is where it is. So this whole section is bigger for me than in the pattern picture because I just didn't think this is really very big. I don't know. And so I kept going. And I mean, of course, she suggests things how you can adjust the size to your wishes. And so I added more stripes with the slip stitches. But then also I had to think about how am I going to introduce that second main color. And once I had all the wonderful colors out, I thought, wow, I want a brighter orange and here is something that I always find that helps me when I pick colors. Even though I'm a dyer, even for me, it's hard at times for a project like this. I mean, of course, I didn't need to use 4 different colors for the stripes, but then I thought, why not? But here, I knew from her picture, I knew that the lace section would be very visible when I'm wearing this shawl. So I thought, so this is actually really then where I started. What is the color that I want in your face when I wear this? And that's where the orange won. It's a Tosh Merino Light, a singles yarn. And that was actually, I have a bunch of beautiful orange yarns, fairly solid, semi-solid in my stash. But this was the brightest one that I wanted to, that I ended up decided on, obviously, as you can see. But then I thought, I have all these more muted blues, turquoise, teals. What am I going to do to help with this transition? And if I call these stripes, those slip stitch segments, I believe I had 4, 8. Initially, I would have had 13, but I ended up making more. So I had 4, 8, 12, 16. I had exactly 17 of these segments. And so I decided I'm going to make 4 with each color. And then in between somewhere, I'm going to slam in this orange segment to introduce the bright orange. And that's what I did here. And then the last section of 4 rows, I used another color that has the same orange in it. And that's one of a wonderful dyer called Direful Yarns. She has an Etsy shop, and I really flew through this whole section on our trip, and that's why I had just brought the skein just in case, and I had to wind it. And it has all these beautiful colors. The light blue, it has speckles, it has more solid elements, and the rusty red and the bright orange. Exactly what I wanted. And that's this. And in the end, when I'm done, I'm going to weigh all of my leftovers because I'm very curious to see. I really want to see what I've used. But now I'm not done, obviously. You still see my needles, and I am not at all paying attention to what Christina, the designer, suggests in terms of, or what she says how to use the colors. I'm just going to do completely my own thing. And so I'm putting in the Ice Rain. I'm not sure about the order of the other colors, but I also want to bring back the teal from the first section, and kind of a little bit of everything maybe. And there are these bubble things at the very edge. Wait a minute, what am I even showing you? You can't see. Right here. And I have to say, I'm not so sure if I'm normally a very, very, very lazy girl when it comes to baubles. They are too time consuming for me. So I usually just skip them. And I haven't decided in this case what I'm going to do. I'll see when I get there, if I feel like this needs this edge or not. I'm probably going to add a few more inches here, which is going to take me quite some time because at this point I haven't counted my stitches, but somewhere in between the lace section I was at about 300 stitches, and so I'll just keep going until I'm happy. So that's my bubbles of joy. Very exciting. And then I thought I was going to make another hat when I'm of the pattern that I was writing, and I have typed up the pattern by now, and but I really wanted a pom-pom for the photos with that hat, and I didn't have the pom-pom, so I was slacking a little bit and I did not re-knit the hat. However, now I have this pom-pom, and I wanted to show you I actually ordered two. Super pretty and very fluffy, and I got them at a shop, at an Etsy shop where I'm very certain that I've purchased before, and the maker is called Erin, and the shop name is Indigo Mint Co. I hope you can read this. And now I will finish the hat so it can actually go up on Ravelry. This is where I am right now. I just started with the edge and brought, there's cat hair, and another pair of reading glasses, and everything I need. Oh wait, oh yes, I start this with 6mm needles, and then I switch to 7mm. Yes, it should be happening soon because I am It's a quick project. It's a 1 day project for sure. So stay tuned. Hopefully the next time we see each other, it's gonna be up on Ravelry. I showed if you remember last time I showed you the school binder of my mom's that she did in whatever school she went. I don't know which grade she was in. And when we chatted a few weeks ago, before, when I can't remember, not important, but she said, well, she had someone called her and said, oh, I saw your binder on your daughter's podcast. I saw your school fiber arts, whatever you want to call it, binder with all the sewing and knitting stuff that you made in school. And I love that. And then my mother said, well, did you see the undies? And apparently I failed to show the undies properly, how my mother would have preferred me to do. And so I want to make it right and show you the undies. That was a nightgown. You probably all remember that. But so this was the page, and a knitting sample is sadly missing. But up here it says Schlüpfer in Rundstrickerei, which means I know that Ramona is going to get a kick out of that because of all the R's, and so you got to repeat after me. Schlüpfer in Rundstrickerei. Rundstrickerei. All the R's are always hard, I know that. So, but the cool thing is that, and this for me is really something that has been burned into my head for years and kind of like filed in how you knit pants, because pants should not be knitted with a seam the way you would construct pants from fabric. When you knit them, you should be knitting in the round, and in the back you should create a higher edge by short rows, and that's what she writes about here. But then you insert a triangle by increases here. This is all new stitches that you make, and yes, of course, then you can close them with Kitchener stitch, and then you can finish the legs by knitting in the round. And I think this is just fabulous. And this is the wonderful and very sexy design of underwear in the around 1950, I would say. Maybe 55. Okay, and so I had to correct my mistake about not properly showing that, and now I wanted to talk to you finally about something super, super exciting, which will soon be coming to the shop. I'm actually really glad that I did not talk about this earlier, because it took so much longer to get to me than I expected. In 2019, I purchased a fleece. I think it was in May. And I got some other Rambouillet fleece. May was Fiber Arts Fiesta. And that was a fleece from Colorado. It was a fine a cross breed. I can't recall what the sheep was. terrible. I know I have the information somewhere, but don't ask me where. But the other fleece, raw wool that I had was local New Mexico Rambouillet. So it was wool from Colorado and wool from New Mexico. And I had that sent to, I sent it out to Michigan to be processed, not just into spinning fibers, but into yarn. I had initially decided to have DK yarn made, but then I think just about 4 weeks before it was done, I kind of last minute, spur of the moment decision, I changed it to fingering weight yarn, and I'm actually really happy I did. The New Mexico, the Rambouillet yarn was white, or a natural white, and the other fleece was a gray, light brown. And so the yarn that I received was a heathered yarn, a heathered fingering yarn, and it's an absolutely gorgeous oatmeal color, which of course is going to turn out very different when it's dyed. I mean, different from a white yarn that's over dyed. I am just so excited about this because for so many reasons. For one, it's like all southwestern Colorado, New Mexico fibers. It's really comes from the sheep. I mean, of course, all wool comes from the sheep, but this is all natural. It's been I've touched it all. I've touched the fleece. I've sent it off. I told them what to do with it, and I finally got it back. And here was the catch, and that's probably why I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this again. But it took 1 year and 3 months to get back to me. And of course, I mean, COVID made it so much worse because they've been working with a reduced amount of people. But I don't know. It's just, that was tough to wait that long because you send it off, you're so excited, and then you have to wait for what felt forever. But in a way, it was also good because it's like, like when you're expecting a baby. And this is what this is. And without further ado, I'm so sorry I had you waiting that long. But this is my beautiful yarn. I want to call it rustic, but then I think it's not really a good word for it because it makes you think of scratchy yarn, and it's not scratchy yarn. It's not a super soft yarn, but it's not superwash treated. It has no plastic added. And from what the mill told me, it's definitely gonna change also when it's been washed, which I find very fascinating, and I've already noticed as I've dyed the first skeins of this. A lot of thought is going into the dyeing because I'm not going to dye this like I dye my other yarns. It's so different. It needs something different. So I think what will happen is some undyed yarns will eventually be available, and don't expect this to go in the shop in the next week because I'm still thinking so much. I'm experimenting with my dyeing, and so it's going to take me a little bit, at least 2 weeks, I would say. Hopefully by the next podcast I'll be able to tell you something. But then there will be undyed, which will be not as the price is less than a dyed yarn, of course. And the dyed yarns, I will have full skeins. And yes, this is my first color, and It's a warm shade of honey. And this is definitely I'm gonna keep this one for sure. While the other one that I can show you, not gonna keep that because I messed up here. And that's why that's why I know I'm going to need to dedicate a lot of time and attention to this yarn because you can screw it up easily. So here's a mini skein, and this one, it's not supposed to be that variegated. But there will definitely be a rusty orange and yeah, I shouldn't say what I'm going to have, but there will be let's say a spicy rusty orange, something in that regard. And I have already dyed a green, which is drying right now, but it was still dripping. That's why I couldn't bring it. And I have mixed up another color, which is in the pots, but I had not soaked my skeins, so that's going to happen later today, hopefully, or tomorrow. Yes, and I so much hope that you will like this as much as I do. And yeah, that's my baby. I did take a video of when I unpacked this, which was around Christmas, and it was so hard to keep the secret because I didn't just want to show you beige yarn. I wanted to share the news as soon as I have a little bit of color also, so you can see how it turns out when it's over dyed, because it's very hard to imagine how you get from this to a color, because it's just not a pure color the way you get from a white yarn. But it's also like, it makes it very special and very different and very fun. And I hope you're gonna love it as much as I do. Yes, that was that. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Yeah. Oh yes, the name. I initially wanted to name this yarn line Southwest, and it has about 450 yards, I want to say. I measured one skein when I wound mini skeins, and that's where I got to. I got to 460, so to be on the safe side, 450 yards per skein. And the name I decided on was initially Southwest, and then I thought, no, it's going to be pure Southwest, because that's what it is. Nothing added, no superwash, no fancy schmancy craziness in regards to colors or whatever. It's pure Southwest. I'm so happy about this. Yes, can I say it again? I'm very happy about this yarn. Okay, and now on to our normal shop news. I've been dyeing quite a bit of wonderful yarns, and all of these would be yarns that would be awesome in a shawl, like I showed you. And like I said, you would, if you say, oh wow, that Bubbles of Joy is gorgeous, I have two solid colors of a color. I mean, of a colorway. I mean, I have, if you want to look for that. There's some in the shop too. But I look over there because that's where all my shop yarns are stored. Oh, this is sold. But I just think that all of these would just look fabulous in a colorful shawl. Yes. And so I thought I'll just bring them all and I'll show you real quick because they always look different on camera. Oh, yes. And you do need to know that all of these are one of a kinds. And if you fall in love with something, you will have to snatch it because it may not in that form ever come back. So I'm going to come a little bit closer so I can show you better. Yes, these are my dying work pants. Okay, so if you see something, oh, that, and you say, that's what I want, remember the name. Because while they're all one of a kinds, I have still given them names just for myself to be able to tell them apart, because some of these have such little differences that it's really important for me that I don't want to send you the wrong skein if you decide on something. So all of these are lucky dogs, one of a kinds, but this one is called Lucky Dog All Good. Oh yes, and these are a Roadrunner, my Merino, and my Superwash Merino singles, 100%. This is New Mexico Sunset. There's one single New Mexico Sunset on my wonderful honeysuckle. Excuse me. Sorry. The honeysuckle is my new yarn, which is so incredibly soft because it has silk and cashmere in it, and I love it. Just one. Here is Teddy. I have to turn it a little bit because I'm so the light is getting to it. Okay. This is red. No, it's not red, but the name is red because it has some beautiful red elements in it. Whereas this one is rusty, almost the same, but no red. All of these still Roadrunners. This is All Good. Another one. That's the only one that I have two of. In fact, I thought initially they wouldn't go together, but they did. I opened the skeins. That's still all. Those were all the singles, the Roadrunners. And now I'm coming to the Dreamcatcher, which is my 2-ply. Where do I have a Dreamcatcher? It's a 2-ply. 400 yards, 80/20 superwash merino nylon. This one is called Dark Rose. I have some sock yarns, the Sandia, in there, so I don't want to. Yeah, this is also Dark Rose. Sandia Dark Rose. And I think this is also sold. Maybe not. This is Rose Garden. I'll have to figure it out later. I haven't done my work with the shipping. The yarns that need to ship out today. So all of, oh yeah, This is Sandia again, dark rose. And Sandia is my 4-ounce skein sock yarn, which is a little plumper than your standard sock yarn. And yeah, it has 434 yards. It's an 80/20 superwash merino nylon. Very round yarn. This one is New Mexico Sunset. All one of a kinds. I tell you what they are called, but they're all one of a kinds. And another one, New Mexico Sunset, which I love so much. And you need to know that I just did a lot of experimenting with dye techniques and with colors, and sometimes I use some dye that I know I'm not getting anymore or I don't have any more of for now. And I have a lot of dyes right now where I know I won't restock. And so that's how these turn out to be lucky dogs, one of a kinds. And of course, there's nothing wrong with them, or they would be in the shop, or they would not be in the shop. Okay, I'm looking around myself, and I hope I'm not forgetting anything. This was fun to talk to you, and I hope you've enjoyed it too. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in about 2 weeks. So no trips planned for now. And well, like everybody else, we're staying at home 90% of our days, which is grinding on everybody's nerves, but that's the way it is right now. We're just hoping, our fingers crossed, that the immunization, that everything is happening fast. So, and until I see you again in about 2 weeks, I wish you happy knitting. Bye. Stay well.